Thanks, Katerik. Hi, welcome. I'm Yuhao. I'm a partner engineer at Snap. I guess many of you in this room have never built experiences for SpatCos in the past. And it is a very cool opportunity for me to show you how to do it for the first time. And today, we are going to learn how to open Lens Studio all the way to publishing a lens to the SpatCos. Are you excited? Woo! Great. Let's get started. First, I'm excited to share with you that we have a brand new mobile app called SpatCos app. We will need this app in order to push your lens from Lens Studio to SpatCos. It is also very helpful for setting up your device, including connecting to Wi-Fi, adjusting the brightness and volume, pulling the captures from SpatCos, as well as pairing your device with Lens Studio. All of them are in the app, and it's available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
Exciting. This mobile app is, I assume most of you would have gotten it by now if you went to your onboarding. It's really exciting to see how many different features we packed into this app. It's going to be very important to your development environment.
And then next, we will also need Lens Studio 5 in order to build the lens for SpatCos. And now we have a new starter project called SpatCos Starter Project, which can get us faster into the SpatCos environment. The setup is slightly different from building a lens for Snapchat. So in this session, I will show you how to use Lens Studio to build your own SpatCos lenses, including how to test it in preview window and push it to the device and show the permission requirements when publishing the lens. In addition, I'm also very excited to share with you that we have a new framework called SpatCos Interaction Kit, which is available in Asset Library and SpatCos Starter Project in Lens Studio. This framework provides a quick and easy workflow to make interactive objects using hand tracking to control the objects with mobile controller compatibility. And then we will be using this framework to make our own 3D interactive games. And finally, we'll push the lens to SpatCos to test.
Awesome. You guys ready? Yeah. All right. I will make some comments about our development platform as Yuhao types away at his computer. So we'll switch spots, and Yuhao will take the computer as we go through this live coding session.
Great. Let's move on to the live demo. Before we get started, we would like to let you know that this session will be recorded, and we will make sure you receive it. But feel free to follow along with me with your own laptop. Great. Let's get started. This is a new homepage in Lens Studio 5 with a variety of starter projects across our different products. And in this session, we will be using SpatCos. So as mentioned, the setup for SpatCos Starter Project is slightly different from building a lens for Snapchat. So we will go over the settings and then build a small interactive game. And then let me give you an intro of the Lens Studio. So on the left side here, we have a scene hierarchy where all the objects exist. And then at the bottom, we have an asset browser where all the assets will be stored. For example, your own 3D meshes, models, or textures, materials. In the middle, we have a scene where you can place your objects in the 3D space. To the right, we have inspector where you can add multiple components. And then we have a preview panel where you can test and preview your lens with the interactions. Great. Let's look at the bottom part here. So SpatCos, this is the simulation mode is set to SpatCos by default when you start a project from SpatCos Starter Project. And then SpatCos Interaction Kit is included in the project. So let's switch the preview mode to interactive mode. So right now, all the objects are placed in the 3D space. And then on the left side here, this is a scroll view that you can scroll through the list like this. And then next, we have interactive UIs where you will provide the audio and the visual feedbacks when you hover and click on it. We also have interactive objects where you can manipulate your own objects. And then lastly, we have a container frame which has a common pattern when you scale, move it around, and also rotate it. Great. Also, great. Let's keep going on. So what we are going to build in this session is that we are going to build a single-player ping pong ball game. So first, we need to find some assets in our asset library. So asset library is a really useful place where it has all the useful resources that you can download, and feel free to contribute to it by submitting your own assets. So in here, we will need in our example, we will need a racket, and then a table from the home pack. Once they are all downloaded, they will be stored in the asset browser. So next, we can drag the prefab into the scene. Great, you might be wondering why it's not showing up correctly in the preview panel. That's because everything on Spectacles is in 3D space. So we will have to move it back a little bit in order to see it in the preview panel. Also, let's hide the examples from Spectacles Interaction Kit. And then, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention about the preview panel. So here is the field view overlay display where it mimics the additive display on the device, on the actual device. So we can turn it off by go to no simulation mode, and then go to settings, device override, and then select Spectacles. In this way, you can simulate and preview your lens without the field of view overlay. And then next, we only need one table, so we can clean it up a little bit. Great, so right now we have a ping pong ball and a racket and a table. So how can we make the racket interactable so that you can use hand tracking to control it? The first step is that we can add an interactable. Interactable listens to different interactors in Spectacles Interaction Kit. So for example, we have left and right hand interactor where it listens to the inputs from the camera, from the hand tracking on the camera on the device. We also have mouse interactor where it simulates the inputs from the mouse in the preview panel, so you can test the interaction in the preview panel. We also have a mobile interactor where it gets the inputs from the mobile controller on Spectacles app. And next, we will also need a physics collider in order to make the objects collidable with other objects. The racket already has it, so we don't have to add one. And lastly, we also need an interactable manipulation. So interactable manipulation allows you to manipulate the transform of the objects. For example, so that you can move the objects around or like rotate it and scale it. So as you can see right now, we can move the racket around like this. So next, we will also need to set up the table for the ping pong ball game. We can reset its position and then rotate it a little bit and rotate in y-axis, push it down, and then push it back a little bit in order to see it properly. Great. And then next one, we can move on to the ping pong ball. So let's make sure the ping pong is above the table. Yeah, as you can see, right now the ball went through the table. That's because the table doesn't have a collider on it. So we can add a collider. And then change the shape to box. And then that's preview the bounding box, just make sure that it looks good. It covers the table. So we can like adjust this a little bit. Great. And then we can also change the color of the table because it looks similar to the ping pong ball. So we can select its material and then change the color like this. Great. Let's go back to the ping pong ball. So we can make it bigger in order to sit it. And then, yeah, that's the ping pong ball here. Yeah, so you can see right now it collides with the table. And then we can also rotate the table for 3 degrees. And then, yeah, let's double check the collider because it looks, okay. Let's refresh the preview panel to make sure. Great, as you can see right now, the ping pong ball collides with the table, but what we are missing here is the bounciness effect. We can add a bounciness effect by going to physics matter, and then reduce some friction, and then give it some spinning, and then give it the bounciness. And then we will also want to make sure that we apply this physics matter to the physics body. And then we can reduce the mass to 0.01. And let's refresh the preview panel to see the result. Great, right now we have the bouncing effect.
Ooh.
So right now, we can bring the racket back and then rotate its, this, and then to make sure it looks good. Great, and then push it down. And then let's test it. Right, great. Right now we can hit the ball. Thank you. And then next, because it's a single player mode, so we might want to add another wall so that the wall can bounce the ball back. We can rename it to wall. And then remember to also add a physics collider so it can be collidable. And then change it to box. And then we want to scale it in order to match the table. Something like this. Great, we can also go back to table and then to hide the collider. So let's refresh the preview panel. Yeah, so right now the ball can be bouncing back to the user. But how can we make it more user-friendly? Because right now I have to in order to test the lens, I have to refresh the preview panel. That's not user-friendly, so how about let's add a button, and then whenever the user presses the button, it spawns a new ball for the user. So in Spectacles Interaction Kit, we can go to its UI example, and then duplicate the one from pinch button, and then drag it outside of the Spectacles Interaction Kit. Great, right now we have an interactive button here. So we can move its position and then scale it up. We can also add a text object. And then put it generator. Generate. So we also want to make sure that the render order for the text is higher than the 3D mesh. So we can put it in 10. As you can see, right now the button is there. So our goal is to, whenever the user press generate, it will generate a new ball for the user to make the game more user-friendly. So in pinch button script component, we have the ability to enable edit event callback. So if we enable this one, it will look for a script and the function name. So let's do just the very simple script. We can create a TypeScript file. and then rename it to generator. And then if we double click on the script, it will open up the built-in script editor, but it's very highly recommended to use Visual Studio Code to type in your code instead of using the script editor. So what we need here is to have an input. And then we can give it a variable name called like ball. And then the type will be object prefab. Great, and then because pinch button will look for a callback function, so we can generate a callback function called generate. And then here we can give it a new variable called new ball equals to this dot ball dot instantiate. And then here we need to put the object where the ball will be spawned. So in our example, we can just simply use this .getSync object. And then save the script. Great, and then next step will be dragging the generator script into the scene hierarchy. And then you will show up an error where input ball was not provided for object generator. So this is expected because we didn't provide a ball prefab. So we can simply drag the ping pong ball into the asset browser to make it a prefab. And then once it's done, we can drag this yellow ball prefab into the input field. And then the last step will be go to pinch button and then select the script. And then provide the function name called generate. Great, that's clean up the logger and then refresh the preview panel. So like this, and then we can add generate, we can hit the generate button and then it will like provide a new ball, like spawn the new ball. So this is more user-friendly for the single-player ping pong ball game that you can practice your ping pong skill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like that. Great, thank you. So once everything looks good in Lens Studio, we need to push it to the device to test. And we have a new button called Connect Spectacles. So if you press this button, Lens Studio will connect to Spectacles automatically via local network for you. For example, Wi-Fi network. So once we press this one, it will connect to the Spectacles. And then we go to Send to all devices, and then it will show up the drop-down, and then press Send to connected Spectacles. This is very helpful because it will show up your own print statement and also the error logs in the logger. So this is very helpful for when you are debugging your lens. And then once everything looks good on both Lens Studio and the device, we can go to project settings. And then in project settings, we have the first step is to make sure that the lens is made for spectacles. And then the lens file size for spectacles is 25 megabytes, comparing to 8 megabytes in Snapchat.
Woo!
In next session, we can check the spectacles. So it will print out all the permissions you are using in your lens. And you don't have to worry about this part because Lens Studio will automatically declare for you. And then we can go back to general. And also, you will also have to provide an icon before you publish in the lens. So thankfully, it's very helpful in Lens Studio too. We can just simply press this plus button, and then we can use Gen AI tool to generate your own icon. For example, we can type in ping pong game, and then generate. Great. Yeah. So this, and then if you don't like all these like texture, these icons, you can always like press the regenerate button again. So we can use this one, and then apply. And then if the icon looks good to you, we can like save changes. And then once everything is done, we can publish the lens to the spectacles.
Woo!